Japan, also known as the land of the rising sun. An island filled with ambition, community, creativity, and innovation. A birthplace to many things we enjoy in our daily lives. Anime, video games, J-pop, VTubers, the list goes on and on. For some, this is just one of many countries on this planet we call home. For others, it's their homeland. For many, it's the dream destination of a lifetime, and many could only imagine and dream about the time they'd have there, myself included. Ever since I was a child, I had a fascination for Japan. Pokémon was a huge part of my life, and I remember watching anime of different genres, and even had an origami kit. As a teenager, it developed further, meeting people from Japan in foreign exchange programs and being introduced to Vocaloid via the internet. All this led to my long dream of visiting this wonderful place. Seeing friends, family, and even influencers visit Japan just made me dream of my time there even more. But could it actually happen? In 2022, I made the decision to invest as much as I could into a future trip to Japan, possibly in 2024, to celebrate a huge milestone, 3 decades of being alive. I took this very seriously, and began saving up halfway through that year and into the following year, and things were going smoothly, but that sadly changed in the later half of 2023. You see, I kinda had an interest in being part VTuber since I mod for a couple, and doing that costs money, like a lot, so I had to take some of the saved money to invest in 2 models. That's right, 2. In the same year. Adding more insult to injury was the holidays. Economics were making it hard to buy good presents with the budget I had. That meant more money had to be taken out. What was once thousands of dollars quickly fell to a single Benjamin. All of that led to the conclusion that 2024 wasn't going to be the year that I would accomplish such a big and ambitious dream. It seemed impossible for it to happen at such a special age. Or so I thought. January 2nd, 2024. The second day of the new year, and the day that I reached a huge milestone in my life. 30 years of my existence on this planet, and being a part of society. Some say 30 is when you begin to figure out life, but I was still fitting the pieces of my puzzle together. After a nice time with family in a restaurant that had new management and very questionable decisions, it was quality time at a small place I used to call home. With children playing and the adults chatting about topics that flew by my head, my mother approached me and escorted me to the corner of the sofa, my favorite spot. I was then given presents all bundled into one. 2 envelopes and a wrapped present. Each one was numbered, so of course I opened them in order. The first present were 3 pictures on 3 separate papers. The first one showed what was some hotel in a fantasy setting on some island. This is where you'll be staying. The second showed a plane with Disney decorations and a logo that read JAL. This is how you're getting there. The final one showed off what looked like the main entrance to Tokyo Disneyland, somewhere I've dreamt of going as a kid. This is where I'd be going for 6 days. I was confused as to what it all meant. This has to be a joke, right? They're just gonna take me to Disneyland and Little Tokyo. There's no way they'd actually send me halfway across the world, right? But then, my sister rolled out a suitcase, and suddenly it hit me. I'm actually going there. The dream is going to be reality. I washed away my doubts and confusion, and was filled with the most excitement I've had in a very long time. And of course, with news as big as this, why would I not share with all my friends and family?
Japan!
Holy fuck, Blake.
Really?
Yep.
For a gift? That's wild.
I'm so jealous.
You're going to Japan in May?
Nice. That's crazy.
Wish.
Boy.
Oh, that's so awesome, Blake! Congratulations!
That's amazing! Oh my gosh!
Yes, and the curse.
Oof. I'm so happy for you. That's so awesome.
No freaking way! No freaking way! Dude!
Whoever gifted you that trip to Japan, goddamn, can they gift me one? I'm so excited and jealous for you all at the same time.
And after 2 long stream events, moving from a small condo to an actual house, a month of emotional trauma, leaving a job that I wasn't enjoying as much, and a country music festival, it was time for the dream to finally be real. 8:15. Hours after waking up at the crack of dawn was when the near 2-hour drive to LAX began. And if I'm honest, I was probably way too excited to even sleep. I've seen the size of this desert numerous times, but this one felt special, as if it'd be a while before I even see the piles of sand and windmills again. With each passing city, my heart began to pound faster, wanting to board the plane bound for the dream. And before I knew it, LAX was in my sights. After my final meal in America, which was a nice plate of spaghetti with beer from Planet Hollywood, I hugged my mom goodbye. It would be the last hug I'd get for a long while, because as soon as I was on my plane, I was bound for Japan. At long last, I was ready for the dream, no, real life happiness to begin. It's been a while since I last saw California this high up, and even longer since I last saw the ocean that it resides next to. And I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous, being not only so high up on my own for the first time, but the possibility of not having the adventure of a lifetime. The second thought was immediately tossed out, as I remembered, this is what I always wanted, no turning back from the dream. While I was high up, and with some meals to keep my appetite balanced, I thought about my other trips before this. My first trip outside of California was Hawaii, 22 years ago. I still remember it like it was a decade ago. My first trip to another country was Mexico back almost 21 years. I haven't flown on a plane since 2016 for San Francisco, and the longest flight before this was New York earlier that same year, for an award nomination at my college that I didn't even know about. Since I had to take 2 flights, it took roughly 6 hours to get there. Japan was breaking many records, being the longest flight at 12 hours, the second country I've ever traveled to, and the most recent flight as of writing this and recording this. Of course, I wasn't thinking about it for too long since I had other things to keep me busy. Besides the maybe decent meals, I watched Spy Family for the first time, and I can understand why it's so popular. I also did some shiny huntings, and oh man, they're still beautiful to look at. Before I knew it, I was seeing more than just clouds below. The beautiful shades of green soon caught my eyes. Every moment I looked from my window, I couldn't help but lose my breath, only to catch it quickly. My heart was pounding, and I was smiling every minute, the most smiles I've had on my face in years. Before I knew it, I was landing by the ocean with an incredible view of the city and ocean at the Haneda airport.
Yo, that is a sick looking airport. Oceanside, hello? Yo. Oh my god. What? We're landing in... Oh my god. That is a beautiful airport docking. What? What? Oh, California just gets city views. Here you get the view of Tokyo, you get the view of the ocean, landing in nice grass. Step up your game, California. Oh my god, this is gorgeous. We're in Tokyo. I can't believe it. I'm actually in Japan right now. This is wild.
Shortly after, I was in a car headed for Tokyo Disney. I was about to live my dreams, both from my childhood and adulthood. After arriving in Japan from a 12-hour flight and a 45-minute car ride after landing, I arrived at my first destination, the Sheraton Grand Bay Hotel, which itself feels like an amusement park, with its own buffet, restaurants, swimming pools, arcades, and even a beautiful backyard. It almost felt like I was only in Japan for the first 45 minutes, only to be transported to some fantasy land, which for Disneyland hotels actually makes sense. While I would have loved to see everything in action, it was getting late and some of the shops were closed or getting ready to close, and I was feeling exhausted from the flight. So I picked up a quick bite from a cafe that I would forget for a long while and made my way to my room. It was a 2-bedroom with a nice view of Disney Sea, something that would be saved for the later half of this part of the trip. That didn't stop me from getting excited about fulfilling childhood dreams, and the next day would be the start of it. If jet lag wasn't kicking in so soon. I did eventually get some rest, enough to help me with the first day at Disney. Alright y'all, check out the attire for today. Look at this, I got the Donna outfit. Before I talk about this day and the other 3 days at Disney, I want to state up front that I will not be talking about everything I did at the Disney parks here. I want to talk about everything that happened in Japan, and focusing on everything I did at Disney would make the other parts only feel secondary. That said, I will point out some highlights, but if you want to hear more about the Disney side of the trip, I'll have a separate video. With that said, let me ask you something. Do you remember your first time at a park so magical? The first time you smiled seeing familiar faces? Riding your first ride? Being in a place where you felt free? At home? We all felt that. Even I did as a child. Something that could never be repeated in my history. Until the first day at Tokyo Disneyland.
Yo, what? Look what just came by. What the fuck? Oh my, what? Oh my. Bruh, that's sick. That's actually sick. What? Yo, what? Oh my, bruh. Bruh, I'm in freaking paradise, I just said.
Being in that park, everything felt familiar, but it also felt new. Like I was a child stepping into the Magic Kingdom for the very first time. Hearing the sounds and seeing the sights for the first time on land far away from home made me relive a core memory that I thought I would never be able to experience again. But this was different. Unlike my child self, I was in control of the magic. I was free to do what made me happy. And for me, that was a lot of things. The rides, the characters, the food, and the people who also share the same joy. Some of my favorite moments on my first day were Beauty and the Beast. Oh my god, this is magical. Experiencing food both new and old.
Okay, I think I have an addition occurring now.
A celebration of the best duck of all time, and visiting an old friend after so long. Oh my gosh, it's been way too long. I'm so glad we can meet again. Before I knew it, my first day was done. And due to sleep time being short, I had to go back and catch up on sleep. I did most of what I wanted to do in the day, so it was a dip in the clean hot tub and then off to bed for the second day. Day 2 was going to be different. Since I had done everything I wanted to on the first day, which was mostly riding all the rides only in Tokyo Disneyland, I decided to start the day with a buffet at the Sheraton. Honestly, there were loads of options for breakfast, but I started with a healthy plate of an omelet with fruit and other meat on the side. Following that was something on par with Japan. Ramen with a sauce so spicy that I barely drank all the soup. Never making that mistake again. Then it was on to new territory, to a destination known as Xperi. I've looked into this place before coming in here, and I initially thought it was like downtown Disney, but in Japan. Just a street filled with stores. But what I saw was an entire mall. There was so much more than what that site posted. There were funny choices like Outback Steakhouse and Red Lobster, but there were a lot more that made the walk around like a scavenger hunt. A huge food court, shops aplenty, and 2 known chains that I walked right into, Starbucks and McDonald's. Okay, I know these are everywhere, but I was curious what they offered in Japan. I ended up getting a semi-burger from McDonald's which had way too much teriyaki and ranch is non-existent for fries, and a strawberry frappuccino from Starbucks. Okay, I'm not the biggest Starbucks fan, but oh my god, this beats every single item in the American menu. What made the shopping experience even bigger was the store right across from Xperi, Bon Voyage. Think of it as a shop in the Disney parks, but you don't need a ticket to grab the merch. Well, minus the popcorn buckets. Oh, speaking of, I guess it was time to head back and finish up the first of the 2 parks. Not a whole lot happened in Tokyo Disney, especially compared to the first day, but finishing up the rides, having a buffet fit for a king, seeing an old friend one last time.
Well, Smash Mountain, it's been real. I'll miss you so much, man.
And renting a soon-to-be-closed attraction right after the park closed made for a great end to Tokyo Disneyland.
My Tokyo Disneyland. It's been fun. I'm gonna miss a lot of you. Like, a freaking lot.
On to Disney Sea, where the real excitement began.
And check out the attire. It's Kermit the Frog over here. The most underrated or underrepresented Disney character, period. Like, not even American Disney parks know what to do with the Muppets. Come on, it's really not that hard.
Having to get up early once again, I decided to pack a quick breakfast at a nearby convenience store. The meal? Onigiri, a monster, and some chocolate for later on. That is some of the best onigiri I've ever had, by the way. Upon arriving at Disney Sea later than I did Disneyland, I was met with a long line. At this point though, it was nothing but familiar to me. Excitement fills my body, since I've heard nothing but amazing things about Tokyo Disney's second home. 9 AM approaches, and I'm inside, and I'm reminded of my 16th birthday. The year was 2010. I was in Florida, visiting parks in a different land I was new to. 4 different lands to explore, to roam, to conquer, and to feel free in. At that time, I felt like a new boy. But this time, I was going to feel like a new man. And in the park, even further from home, I approached the gates, and my jaw dropped.
Wait. Oh my god. Holy. Guys, you have to look at this. Oh my god. Oh my god. What?
This was everything I could have asked for. Sheer beauty was right in front of me. Not even minutes to Disney Sea, and I was already more in love with this park than any other in my entire life. This was perfection. Like the land before, I had many things I wanted to do. Unlike the other land, however, it was free game. I rode Journey to the Center of the Earth, one of my all-time favorite rides there, 3 times in 2 days. I got to experience food that had my mouth on edge, and I saw the most dazzling water show the mouse has ever produced, and got to experience fine dining for the very first time. I knew this park was going to be special to me, and I wanted to keep the best memories of this place. Truly a magical day, but like time itself, it couldn't be slowed down, even for a second longer. It was the final day in a rainy Chiba. Yeah, I don't think I mentioned this before, but this is all in Chiba. Guess I really am exploring Japan, huh? The first half of the day was getting my things ready to leave this truly amazing hotel. I wasn't around it much, but when I was, it had its own set of magic that I'll never forget. Before then, I decided to pay one last visit to Disney Sea, to do some final things, which thankfully wasn't too much. I had done everything I wanted to in the full day, so I just rode rides I really loved, ate the remaining food that I wanted to try, and grabbed some items for my departure back to the hotel.
Well, one final look at Disney Sea. It's actually beautiful with all the rain, but yeah, all Tokyo Disney has been a lot of fun. I'm really sad to see this go, but I am very happy. First, I'm not going to be in the rain anymore for a while. Secondly, I'm very happy for Tokyo. That is going to be great.
Upon returning in a ton of wind and rain, I checked out and headed to Xperi one final time. I had a ramen that thankfully didn't burn my taste buds and explored the remaining unseen floors. And since I knew where my next stop was, I wanted to convert some American money I had, which led to a journey back to Disney Sea, where I entered this hotel. I was there for one thing, but this view had me breathless. After getting that done and walking around Xperi, it was time to grab my bags and say farewell to this amazing hotel.
Well, just got back from Safari. Forgot to say bye to Xperi, but bye, Sheraton. You were a nice, lovely hotel. I'm gonna miss you. You were luxurious.
I was sad to leave this place, but I knew my next stop was going to be just as beautiful. Tokyo, here I come. Minutes go by, and I arrive at my new hotel, the Mitsuki Garden, located in the center of Tokyo. This was my home for the next 2 nights. I left my ride, bags in hand, and checked into the new hotel with self-check-in? Is that new? Are we really that far behind in America? Those questions quickly went away as I entered my room, which was understandably smaller than the last one, and explored the hotel. Aside from the second floor, you couldn't even enter the other floors without a key, or turn on any lights in the room. As for interesting sights in the building, well, there was an entire room dedicated to one microwave. I got myself familiar with my room before heading out and exploring central Tokyo. While it was amazing to see all the sights and visit shops I haven't been to, that wasn't the big reason why I wanted to explore. I checked my phone earlier to see where the nearest Pokemon Center was, since that was one of the things I've dreamt of visiting. And to my surprise, there was one that was just a 10-minute walk away, with few distractions to slow me down, one of them being the incredible 7-Eleven, which I'm happy America's getting those. I made my way over to Pokemon Center DX.
Yo, we're so close. Look at that. It's right there. Oh my god. It's the Pokemon Center. What? Oh my god. Amazing.
Boarded the elevator to the 5th floor where it was located, and gazed in awe at what was in front of me.
Oh my god. There's no shot, dude.
so getting reservations at some point. Oh my god. Oh, I have to go in.
The wall was a beautiful tribute to all of Pokemon and a wonderful way to lead me to the main area, filled with Pokemon delights. Shelf by shelf, it was filled with so many items I was tempted to take home, and it was made even more magical with the voice of Hatsune Miku. Project Voltage truly is a blessing in disguise, as it gave me an even bigger smile on my face. I don't remember how much time I spent here, but I was vividly having the time of my life. I ended up spending almost $100 in there, but it was absolutely worth it. So much Yano merch. But my night was just getting started. My next stop was the most iconic parts of not only Tokyo, but all of Japan. One train ride and many stops later, I took my first steps in the Shibuya station, where I was met with the most exciting view of my life.
Oh my god. I'm in Shibuya. I'm actually in freaking Shibuya!
The buildings were closer now than ever before, and after tracking through, I was greeted with that, I suppose, but also with one of the most iconic crosswalks in the world. To you, this may seem like another busy road, but to me, it was like following the Yellow Brick Road in Oz. Crossing it was extremely satisfying, and it looked prettier under the lights and in the rain. Who knew umbrellas in Shibuya would add to the magic? After a bit more traveling, I walked to my next goal, yet another Pokemon Center. Thankfully, I didn't spend an entire Benjamin there, and I was captivated by the Mewtwo theme. Being my all-time favorite Pokemon, this store meant the most to me. Miku was playing her songs, making the store even more special.
It's Masuda's signature on his tail. What?
But the location where the center was housed had so many more stores. Nintendo Tokyo, a Capcom store, and Shonen Jump store, easily blown away. Nintendo, of course, captured my attention out of the other three, but sadly they had to close the store sooner or later. After a long but quick decision for one item, I continued my walk around. I visited a Don Quixote while I was over there. God, those places are massive. And got a late night dinner at, take a wild guess, McDonald's. Call me crazy for eating there twice in Japan, but most things close at 10 there. This teriyaki chicken sandwich was good though. Definitely filled me over for the remainder of my time there, and back to the station. Don't worry, this wasn't my only night here. A half an hour ride later and I was back in my bed, ready to drift off to sleep for one more full day ahead. We're only getting started. It's now 8 AM. Or was it 7? I honestly don't remember. I headed down to the second floor for the hotel's breakfast buffet. I gotta say, while it was smaller than the Sheraton's, the food was pretty good. I stocked my body with enough food to where it was light, but enough for me to get through the first part of my biggest adventure in Japan. I was going to see what Tokyo had for me. I acquired a boarding pass and headed for some arcades. I was up pretty early and nothing opens until 10 AM, unless your name is 7-Eleven, so after a bit of waiting, the doors opened and I was on a hunt for another old friend of mine. Something I played a year ago at around 1. A bit of hunting later and I found it. Project Diva Arcade Cabinet. Now I did this for part of another separate video, which is waiting for you right there. Because I was so busy hunting down those machines, it wasn't until a few more arcades that it occurred to me. I was in Akihabara, the capital of so many things. Anime, electronics, and video games. It made sense why there were so many arcades. The place where I got hooked on the crane games. I mean, hey, I did win a prize though. That's something I never thought I'd do here. This whole street can be busy for so many hours. What with its games, stores, and even its Don Quixote. This one had cool Vocaloid statues, and you guessed it, another arcade on the upper floor. There was also a maid cafe inside, and yes, I actually did eat there. Here's pics for proof. Oh, can't forget about this one. I'm not ashamed. I knew I couldn't spend all day in one area, so I set off to my next destination, the Sensuji Temple, one of the most visited temples in all of Japan. Stepping foot into the area, it felt like stepping into a past combined with the elements of the present. The wooded fronts of some stores were a delight to look at. Soon, staring right at me, was the iconic entrance to the temple. Have you ever felt your breath being taken away, only to have it back after like 10 seconds? That's how I felt seeing this.
Oh my god. Bro, look at that. Oh, it's more massive in person. Yo!
I felt immersed by the traditional atmosphere, buildings, and clothing some were wearing. I also got some good luck, embraced myself in the culture with the incense and smoke, and came face to face with the temple itself.
Wow, I'm in the temple. Look at that. That's so cool.
Trust me when I say this, what you see on screen is only a fraction of its beauty. Seeing the golden colors with the luminary lights in person is a spectacle that lives rent-free in my head, and its surroundings are just as gorgeous. Flowers and bushes of many colors, ponds filled with beautiful koi, and a tower looking over the temple added to this majestic immersion. Even the shops and buildings leaving the temple fill the air with the sights of its wondrous past. I'm glad I came here. I needed to see the natural side of Japan too. Halfway done, my next stop was the Sky Tree. It was a lot easier by taxi, since it wasn't too far from the temple. I actually didn't go all the way up, since that really wasn't my main goal here. Of course, I had my eyes set on some places like yet another Pokemon Center and its amazing shiny Mega Rayquaza. Oh my god, it was cool. And the Kirby Cafe. That I wasn't able to get into. There was also this festival going on. Definitely was something to see for sure, but the main star of the area was this. I promised my friend to try these out for them, and oh my god, it is the best treat I've had in my entire life. Like if I could, I would just sit here, just looking at his image and tell you how amazing they were. But I had one final stop before the end of the day. I headed back to Shibuya, and not for what you're thinking. I had my stomach set on one particular restaurant there, and something that felt like home away from home. Now it might seem weird that I'd make a place that shared food I was familiar with my final stop on my last night, but I knew that going in. I wanted to get familiar with the food and the sounds of my home country before I left. That and I always was curious about this place. It gave off a country vibe, which I grew up with country music, so it was comforting me. It also felt nice to have some ribs in front of me, a cold drink, and the most American conversation I've ever had in Japan. I still remember the story about how the dude who sat next to me woke up at an airport, shirtless and with a pizza on his chest at 21. That never gets old. And with that, the last night in Japan comes to a close, as I make it back to the hotel, resting up one final time for the travel home. I wish that actually happened. I guess I should explain. Throughout the whole trip, I had 2 AirTags with me, one in my suitcase and one that went with me, to ensure that my family knew I was safe in an already safe country. Honestly, very smart, and they would always be accurate to where I was, and where my suitcase was. Except on the final night. When I arrived back from Shibuya, I set my phone to guide me back to my hotel, when it actually took me to another building, which caused me to type in my hotel to actually guide me to the hotel. Thankfully, it wasn't too far. Meanwhile, the AirTag that was with me, according to my mother, was going all over the place location-wise, even though it was with me at all times. Apparently, it showed them some shady alley instead of where I actually was. This led to numerous phone calls, including a wake-up call from the hotel staff at 2 a.m. and a call from me to my understandably worried mother, ensuring her that I was okay and safe in my hotel room. These calls, combined with the lack of sleep, knowing I would leave the following day, caused the most unnecessarily stressful night of my entire life. Fuck you, Apple. I eventually did get some sleep, but I had to head down to the buffet much later than expected. I got my last breakfast in Japan, and with the time before checkout, I decided to walk back to the first Pokemon Center I ever visited. Of course, I did make a stop to grab a treat of cake and beer. Well, that's creative for the morning. And during my walks, I heard the most beautiful chime.
Wow, listen to how pretty those bells are. What a sound to hear on the final day here in Tokyo. Or at least one of the last few hours before I had to go into the airport.
Japan truly is magical. I arrived at the Pokemon Center DX to walk around, make a purchase that thankfully wasn't $92, and listen to Miku in the store one final time. I don't think I'll ever get to experience something this magical again in my entire life. I checked out through the same machines that checked me in and walked around some more, keeping close to the hotel so it was an easy walk back when it was time. I spent some time in a complex that had a neat display of more Japan's past. It was a collection of retro merch, ranging from Doraemon to Astro Boy to Fighting Bots to that thing, Seriously, what even is that? After a bit, it was time to head out to the center of Tokyo and back to the airport, where my journey all began. Haneda Airport, 1 p.m., 4 hours before my flight back to America. I knew I had to make the most of it, even with feet covered in blisters and pain. Yeah, I may have taken over 20,000 steps each day there. After my luggage was checked, I made my way inside the airport, which was decked out by traditional buildings, giving those leaving Japan one last glimpse at its beauty before their departure. There was even a bridge that towered over the 3rd floor, which I walked on slowly. There was also 2 areas to view the planes going by and items I almost bought. This was so tempting, and a place for me to have my final meal. I don't remember the name of the dish or the place I got it from, but eel sounded good as my last meal on Japanese grounds.
There's my wish. Right there. I wish to return to Japan one day. I know I will.
I eventually made it to my terminal, where there was more places to wish me farewell.
Bottoms up. Oh yeah, I've had this before. It's not bad.
And soon I was boarded, bound for California. No more would I see the beautiful greens from my window. During my 10-hour flight back, I honestly wasn't feeling too well. Not as in I was sick or anything, but emotionally, I wasn't ready to go back home. I was living the dream I've only ever thought of as just a dream till now. It couldn't end like this. Not now. I don't want to go back to summer I was kinda happy to forget about. Will it soon be just a dream again? Maybe I was just tired and needed some sleep. If only it were that easy. I tried the best I could to catch some seas before I was back in America, but the lag was hitting me hard from time to time. Eventually, I see the boring browns and not so glorious greens, and I knew that, sadly, I was back.
Dude, that's no longer a Japanese theme. That's American graffiti style. Oh cool, I didn't know they had a little candy station right there. Actually, I didn't even know that.
I still wasn't happy, but I was also very tired. So it's day 7, but in California. In the repeated day, I landed from a 10-hour flight, still tired, still missing Japan a lot, and bound for my hometown. Yeah, it was planned out where I'd spend a night there since who wants to leave a car in an American airport parking lot? I make my way over the California mountains, where I was greeted with beauty that is a gem among the state. Looking back at it, it was nice to see a more natural side of Earth and more than just one small area in a crowded city. In a way, it was pretty metaphorical. I was still tired, like to the point where I couldn't even watch my niece's game for too long, but somehow I managed to stay awake for a nice family dinner at a local Mexican restaurant. But thankfully, I was plenty tired to sleep that night and tried to keep myself entertained for one more day up there. Honestly, a lot didn't happen that day. The pain was still there, but I was feeling fresh and awake earlier at times where I'd still be sleeping. Wanting some time away, I headed to what my hometown calls the village. Just a part of town that's filled with local shops and the sounds of English was all around me. It felt nice being able to hear things I understood, though Japanese still sounds better in my opinion. I wasn't able to stay long as, well, you already know by now. So I headed home, relaxed, and prepped to finally head home to the desert sands. Hours later, I celebrated my safe return from my amazing trip with a good 8:05. Man, I missed the taste. But many things still lingered even after the 8 days. There were moments where my mental state wasn't looking too well. I was missing Japan more and more each day. I wasn't feeling happy where I was, and a lot of it stems from an entire week of jet lag. Day after day of restless nights that left me panicking if I'd ever sleep again. Well, minus 2 nights that I remember sleeping decently well. Eventually, all that faded away as I adjusted back to my home time zone. But I still felt something I never felt during my other trips. My other trips are similar, but with those, I'd be in the moment there and swiftly get back to my reality. This was the first trip that made me feel other emotions afterward. Sadness and frustration returning home, yearning to relive the times I was there, and me thinking it was all just a dream and nothing more. But days later, I realized something. If I felt those things coming back, then I did things right to have the best trip of my entire life. In the span of just a week, I'd done so many things I could only ever dream of doing years, even decades ago. I got to live a childhood dream of mine, going to magical parks far away from home and making magical memories there. I got to experience things I dreamt of while watching others as an adult. Shibuya, Akihabara, Disney Sea, the Sky Tree, Pokemon centers, and temples being the big ones. I even experienced things I never even dreamt of. Winning a crane game, eating a fancy meal, seeing sights no one has heard of, and making friends there that I still talk to this day. Everything I did on that trip has a special place in my head and in my heart, and rightfully so. This was the first trip where I experienced happiness, something I haven't felt in years, and it makes sense. What started as a dream and a screen view to a goal that was scrapped to an unexpected reality really says something about me. Even if I give up for a moment, I still have the dreams and goals, and in this case, it paid off, and I did it. I lived the dream, and now it's a memory that I will never let go of. I now look at others visiting Japan for ideas for the next time. Yeah, this definitely will not be the last time I visit Japan. Far from it. I want to go back to Japan during Magical Mirai. I think it's the logical next step. And maybe living there? I'll just have to wait and see. I want this video to not only be a document of my time in Japan, but to be a motivation to someone out there. If you're watching this, I only ask of one thing to take away from this video. Never give up on your dreams, no matter what they are. It may not look like it, but you're one step closer now than you were before. Believe it's possible, because it really is. Nihon, arigato. Watashi wa itsumo wasurenai.
重ねた想いがやがて答えになる新たな世界へと走り出して
but you weren't expecting me to be here towards the end of the video. But I want to mention a couple things. First off, and I know I said it already, like seconds into the credits, but first off, thank you so much for watching this video. This was a very long video to make, both recording and editing wise. Editing took months, but recording wise, ever since I got the announcement that I was going to Japan back in my birthday in January, I knew that I had to do something like this. And it's not something I normally do. I figure since I was going to Japan for the very first time, and it means a lot to me that I'm doing that, I kind of want the video to do the same, you know, mean something to not only me, but hopefully to someone that actually watched this video and kind of felt inspired to do that. At least traveling somewhere in the world, whether it is Japan or Italy or really anywhere, I highly encourage you to follow your dreams. But secondly, I think I mentioned it in the video, but I have actually uploaded a couple videos that are just basically parts of my Japan trip separated. I mentioned the Tokyo Disneyland video, and there's also a Project Diva arcade video that you guys can check out in the description below. Or if you haven't already, you can check the top right corner. I'm not sure those continue to stand there or whatnot. I don't really know. But also, there will be a vlog that's also in the description below. Now, depending on when you're watching this, if you're watching this on the day this is being uploaded, it may not be around, or it may be, depending on where I put it. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it on this channel or if I'm going to have a secondary channel that's dedicated to kind of long play stuff. But if it is going to be on this channel, then you'll have to wait a day. If not, then it should be available in the description below. Regardless, all three of the videos should be in the description below. I highly recommend you watch the vlog, so that way you can catch the full experience with my live commentary, and I'll also be running at 60 frames per second, so if you're one of those people that prefers 60 frames per second videos, then check out that vlog as well. And again, we'll have everything I talked about in this video, but it'll be in full, and it'll be live commentary, as I mentioned before. With that being said, and I cannot stress this enough, I know a lot of content creators say this, but I really, really want to thank you guys for tuning into this video, and I hope to see you guys in another video like this. And actually, maybe I won't go alone. I wonder if my nephew would want to go. Let me give him a call.